All right, so welcome. Up on your feet, you're going to come. We're going to start real simply, wrists. So just get those wrists going, just making some nice circles. And try not to like right away, just go on autopilot. Imagine that sense that there's a beam of light off your fingers and you're trying to make that circle as dramatic as possible. By moving any closer, you'll hear the Rice Krispies of what it sounds like, right? Go the other way for me. Ooh, just warming up that soft tissue, great. Can you just start making a little jump? You kind of pretend your, excuse me, your arm is like a dolphin. And I'm gonna really accentuate through those fingers again. Noticing how it's so strange because your forearm will actually start getting tired. Big dive over. Big dive over. Now just add a little rocking. So we're just gonna shift our weight. I'm gonna rock in that direction. And if you're able to, take a foot off, right? So as I go side to side, I lift a foot for a moment, lift a foot for a moment. Good. 2 more. Good, feet come down. Now just take this arm and go over. And coming up. 1 more, over. And back up. Now bend those knees, soften them. And now it's a big circle. Now, I want you to take it slow enough that your eyes can follow your fingers. And I say slow enough because if you go too fast, you might feel dizzy. And 1 more time around. And then the hand that you're using, those knees stay soft. Bring it on over and just give yourself a little assist. Let this arm soften. Oh, that feels good. And then we're just going to turn the nose into the armpit. Little different angle that gets more into those trapezius where we hike our shoulders up into our ears. And then nice and easy releasing that hand. Good. We keep those knees soft. We're going to just go into that dolphin dive here first. Then we'll go back to wrist circles. Ooh, just getting that forearm warming up. And then just come right through the middle. Can you make those as big as possible? Again, lots of click, 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 click. Good, I see a couple of you still jumping on, that's great. We just did the same little wrist exercise on the other side too, so if we're doing anything you want to quick put it on the other side of your body, go for it. Okay, let's go back to that dolphin dive and really accentuate it, and then we'll start shifting our weight. And again, I'm focusing on getting 1 foot off the floor because I want to feel that sensation of my weight shifting. And don't sweat it, right? Like I can tell on the side, I'm not left-handed, you know, it feels different making these shapes. But let this side just uniquely move like it moves. Last 2. Last 1, shifting that weight, come to center. Soften those knees a bit more, up and over we go. And coming back. 1 more, up and over. Last week when I was at the studio, I was actually talking to Jane, and I had my earbuds in, so I quick got on the Bodhi and did a couple things, including triceps. I was sore for 3 days. Soften that a little bit more. Take the hand over, a little pull. I thought, oh, it's so telling when you just haven't been in the arena of a certain movement, regardless of how strong you are, you're gonna feel it. Nose to underarm. And then coming back to center. Now we're going to take that circle approach, but remember, we're looking to work the eyes as well as the neck. Take it slow enough, please, that you don't feel dizzy. So if you only get a couple in, who cares? Not me. Good, 1 more time. Take it around. And come to center. Hands will come to your thighs. We're going to slide them toward the knees and soften a bit more. Now I'm pretending that I'm going to get my butt back there on that wall, okay? So my chest is dropped a little bit. Now I want you to take those eyes up and lift the chest as high as you can, but at the same time, my bum is still attached to that wall. And now I'm going to just take my chin down and I'm going to look over one shoulder. And I just give a slight engagement to my low abs. The tail tucks a slight bit. And now slip that tail up the wall. Let me see those collarbones. Lift that chest, stick the tail out and up. And then scoop those abs and just look over the other shoulder. So you're just treating those abs to that little awakener. And then chest lifts one more time, center, tail tips. Now we'll stay in the middle. Just scoop those abs and then just let the spine come more straight. So I'm just looking down at the floor. Now I'm going to look up at all of you and lift my chest again. So I'm not going gangbusters rounded. I'm scooping the abs and becoming a bit more flat back, and then tip the tail, lift the chest. Now just wag that tail. Chest is lifted, tail is wagging. Now tuck that tail a little bit, let it stay wagging. You'll probably notice you have more mobility. Still lifting the chest and just kind of taking that intensity down of the tail, and keep going side to side as you come up. And then just try to be real soft. I want you to let the hips go to the point where if I put my hands here at the sides, you know, I can feel my buns, right? Flapping side to side. Let the flesh be loose. See if you can get enough going where you kind of feel that in your gut too. Like you're gonna really let it go. Then maybe you actually feel the chest. So for the ladies in the group, right, we get a little bit more bounce in the chest. But just trying to soften those pec muscles. Let the arms now be a little bit softer. And if you were to just let yourself exhale, nobody can hear you, right? And hear that because you're really letting your body go. 3, 2, and 1. Come to still. And just feel that deep vibration. Walking our feet underneath us. And you don't need to see my feet to do this. You're gonna rock up so that you're on your high heels, we'll say. And then you're gonna rock back through the feet and lift all 10 toes up. And then rock forward onto the ball of the foot. Rock back, pick up your toes. So let's just move through the foot. Could you picture that articulation? Whoop, I'm on the ball, and then gliding through, lift the toes. It's almost as if I picture my whole foot like a rocking chair leg, and I'm just going forward and back in that rock. Can we add arms? And I don't care which way. If you go up and they go up, cool. If you go up and the arms go back, cool. Wherever it kind of gives you a little assist, creating that full body. Hope everybody's starting to warm up. I certainly am. You just feel from within you, the fibers, your nervous system, everything's starting to come alive, ready to coordinate with each other. 1 more. And then come to flat foot, soften those arms down, and let your eyes come to close here. Take a big breath in through your nose. Imagine filling up under your armpits. And as you exhale, let it go strongly out the mouth. 1 more. Eyes open. We're ready to rock and roll. I'm going to move you down with me. You guys notice when you're in class in the studio, there's more length in that room, right? So we don't have to move the camera around, but in here, okay. So we are going to make it down to hands and knees. So you just just get situated how you need to, right? You don't necessarily need to move your camera as long as you can see. So hands and knees, we come on. Woo, how nice and tacky. Okay, so I want you to pick up one knee, then the other. So here's our little rocking again. One knee, then the other. Take a quick look at those hands. Can you stretch those fingers out a little bit more? One more each way. Coming onto the knees. Now, pick up the heel of the hand. It's like going in those high heels again, and set the heel of the hand down. So it's just up, down. I keep my 4 fingers flat on my mat. My thumbs, of course, at the thumb joint, they're going to lift a little bit because of where they're attached. Lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower. Last 2. Last one. And sit those hips back, little bounces. You only go as deep with this as what's okay for your knees, right? So you can keep this a bit more shallow if you need to. All right, so here we're gonna go slow motion together to get started. It's 3 bounces back. 1, 2, 3. When I come forward onto hands and knees, I'm gonna lift one knee out to the side. Then I go back. 1, 2, 3. Other knee comes up and out to the side and back. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. And up. 1, 2, 3. And up. One more to the other side. 3, 2, 1. And up. Same thing, just changing that leg. 3, 2, 1. Now let it go back and bring the opposite arm forward. And back. 3, 2, 1. Opposites. 3, 2, 1. Opposites. 3, 2, 1. Opposites. One more in each side. And opposite. 3, 2, 1. Opposites. Okay, taking it wider. 3, 2, 1. Can you stretch that straight leg out to the side of the room and reach your hand to the other side? And back. 3, 2, 1. Reach wide. It's like a half a jack. 3, 2, 1. Reach wide. 3, 2, 1. Reach wide. And 3, 2, 1. Reach wide. Now stay here this time. The leg just taps the floor and lifts. And lifts. And lifts. It's reaching out and back to that side. 3, 2, 1. And bounce back. 3, 2, 1. Taking it out. Opposites going the other side. Take that leg up. 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 Reaching into the far corners of your room. 3, 2, 1. Rocking back. 3, 2, 1. Outer corners. Lift. 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 Rock back. 3, 2, 1. Opposite corners and lift. 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 Rock back. 3, 2, 1. Opposite corners. Lift. 3, 2, 1. Coming last time. 3, 2, 1. Opposite corners. Lift. 3, 2, and 1. Come back. Go ahead and widen those knees and just sit those hips back. Now you can rock your buns, your weight side to side. If that feels good in your hips, just giving those hips a little stretch. Everyone nice and warm now? I think so. All righty. So I want you to come. If you need to turn in any way to make this happen, then I would like you to make sure you can see me, is my point. So here I am, we're on all fours. I'm going to take my left knee and I'm going to step it over so that it just kind of went between my right hand and my right knee. And then I'm going to bring it back. And then I'm going to step it over. But now I'm going to go ahead and sit down. This is where I'm saying I would like you to be able to see me. So if you're fine not seeing me, I'm okay with that too, but I'm just going to give you a millisecond here. Okay, so as I go back to all fours, I'm gonna lift that hip, hand goes down, knee goes back under. So you're gonna notice you have to shift your weight to make that happen. You can't kind of just slide into it. Okay, knee comes under, open and sit. Hand comes back, and I use my core to put my legs back down. One more time, knee goes under, come to sit. Bringing that right hand back to the mat. Now I gotta think, push into my feet, use my core, lift, put my foot back. Okay, so you can stay doing it just like that. I'm just gonna add on, tuck your toes under, lift your knees to a little higher. Whew, hello. Okay, now step that foot under. See, it's not my knee anymore, it's my foot. Now, can you open, tap your butt, and then turn back into kneeling and knees down. So do you all, just I want you to be clear, I kept my knee down on the first one, put my butt down, went back into all fours, or I'm doing it all in knee hover. Toes are tucked, knees up. Left foot steps under and through. Open, I tap my bum down, pick my bum up, turn, back to knee hover and down. You can do this on your forearms too. One more time, knees up. Reach that foot under. Open up. Back around all fours. And untuck the toes. Sit back. Everybody walk their hands toward them. Go ahead and turn them. And of course, you want to be back, right? You don't want a lot of weight here. Turn those hands the other way and little rock side to side. So just give a little stretch into the forearms and wrists in this direction. I hope you can all just imagine what we just did turns into a really awesome transition. It can be an exercise on its own, and it can be a transitional exercise. Now I'm going to turn around because I want to be able to still see you, okay? All right. So hands and knees. I'm going to stay on my knees for right now. I'm taking my right knee, the one furthest from you, underneath. Then I'm going to sit and open up. And I mean open up. Over that hand comes, and now I'm thinking trunk, turn, get back on the hands and knees. Knee comes under, sit, open. Hand comes around and back to hands and knees. One more, knee comes under, and sit, arm opens. Back around, and here's kind of where I can make it as hard as I like. Okay, so changing it up, knee hover if you so desire. Knees hover, step the right foot under. Start to open, I just tap my butt, pick it back up, put my foot back where I started, knee hover, and knees down. Knees up, right foot steps under, turn open, tap that butt cheek down, pick it up, and all fours, knees down. Last one, knees up, step under, and open, tap the buns, and back around, knee hover, and down. Good, this time look back, just come off those wrists completely. So just give yourself a nice little shake here. Let them be loose, right? You want to almost feel like you have finger weights on. Woo! We're going to end up coming back to that, so don't forget it. All right, so we're going to go into a really cool roll down. So everyone come to sit on the buns. You can face whatever direction works for your viewing purposes. Let me get my pants in order here. Okay. So what I would love for you to do is come to sit, letting those legs go out. And from this position, we want to think about where we are on our pelvis, right? So I'm going to try hard not to be back here. And that might require me to bend my knees. So understand if we're tight under here, it kind of pulls the tail under and we end up here. So then we have to shorten this lever. Okay, be very mindful of that. If you want to keep ignoring that, you will never get change. So let it be bent if that's where we need to start today. Or every day. Right? Arms are going to come out in front of us. Now what I want you to do is let your toes fall out a bit. So my legs just did a little frog legs. And I'm actually thinking of pushing my heels into the mat. Now I would find it very hard just to literally pin my mat down, but I'm doing my best to think of pressure on those outer edges of my heels. I'm going to keep that pressure down, and now I'm going to think of scooping up the pelvic floor. And then I'm going to let the pelvic floor relax. And then lift and gather pelvic floor. And relax. I think at this point, keep going. You all have a really great sense of what that means. And you can kind of take it from as simplistically as cutting off the flow of urination to taking the idea of both sits bones, tailbone, and pubic bone all draw together. So all those bones gather towards the center. One more, draw that pelvic floor in. I'm really proud of you because I don't see anybody doing this. When your head goes up and down, I know you're in your glutes. So draw that pelvic floor in. Now we're going to intentionally let the tail just slightly tip. Notice for those of you that need to be flat back, I'm really still flat back. I just drop that tail a tiny bit, drawing up those abs. Now I'm going to push down with my left foot and let my right one float up. Just for a second. Push down with the right, let the left one float up. I would like your focus to be on pelvic floor. So notice you start thinking about your feet and you might have just let your pelvic floor go. One more each way. Can you keep the pelvic floor drawn up while you lift that leg? Now slide your heels together so they touch. I'm still in my frog legs. Feel pelvic floor kick in a little bit more by pushing or pinching your heels together. Now draw your heels towards you and pick them up. Set them down, glide them away, but maintain everything else. I'm shaking. Draw those heels towards you. Can you pick them up for a moment? Set them down and back out. Think pelvic floor picks up, abs are on, heels come up, set them down, and away they go. One more. Draw them in, pelvic floor is lifted, pick them up, set them down, and back up we come. If you need to bend your knees, do so. Take both hands over to one side. You can use this hand on this leg and give yourself a little twist. Looking up, chest lifts open. Good, take those hands to the other side. Looking up, chest opens. And then coming back to center. Now you can keep that idea of your heels pinching as an approach. Also, if you have a ball handy, you could put that right between your ankles or your knees, if that's helpful as well. Arms are going to come out to the sides. I'm going to try to just push my legs a little straighter, but still being mindful about where I'm sitting. All right, here I go. So I want to take myself back a bit, but I'm going to adjust the weight, going from one butt cheek to the other. So I'm thinking of lifting. Now, I have a generous tush, so I would not say that you could get a piece of paper under my butt cheek. But if you can on yours, great, but just the idea of shifting the weight. Now, when you go to one side, can you set that arm down? Rock to the other side, set the arm down. Now, your goal is going to be to let the work come from your waist. And notice how I'm still pretty flat back, right? I'm just trying to keep my abs to take me over. This is always one of those movements that one could really shove with their arm to launch themselves to the other side, or you can just make super light hands and the work is in my waist to shift the weight from side to side in the bum. Last two. Let's face each other to end. Boom, there we are. Great. Can you go ahead and bend your knees? The bottom leg is going to go behind the top one and just slightly separate them. Great. Top hand finds the floor. Guess what? Boop. There you are, hands and knees, just like we had been. So I'm going to let that leg furthest away from you guys come underneath me till I sit down again. And here I am, right back where we were. Good. Both hands to the floor and pop up. Bring that knee underneath and open out. Now all I'm going to do is get back on both buns and rock and rock. Now, of course, again, I kind of can feel at first, oh, fun, momentum, push with my hands. Then I want to think light, light, light hands, lots of waist. We're whittling the waist here. Now we're going to stop going the other way, so you're going to get a picture of my tush. Other way we go, bend the knees. Let the bottom knee draw behind the other. Top hand comes to the floor, and hands and knees. And back to the side, and hands and knees. And back to the side. One more, hands and knees. And we're going to stay right here. Okay. So I want you to take yourself into that wide fingered stance. So be mindful of that. Don't want to let those fingers get all curled up there on the mat. Try to widen them out. We're going to shift that weight side to side again. So as you come in that side to side movement, could you again think of it as your waist and my glutes versus momentum. So start lifting that leg when you shift your weight. Lift that leg. Lift that leg. Woo, feel that in the buns. And lift. Two more. Lift. Wrap it up. And on the side you did not start on. Up we go. And back for a little stretch. Remember what we talked about with the knees possibly needing to be bent. True for here as well. Shift your weight forward, tuck your toes under. You're going to dive your chest to your thighs and send your butt up to the ceiling. Now here's where you may need to stay with those bent knees. Otherwise, straighten them as you are able. Bend only one and reach the calf down and switch. Switch. I'm driving through the heels of my hands, acting like the push into my mat is pressing my chest towards my thighs. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift and down those knees go. Untuck the toes, slide into child's pose. Reach those fingers as far forward as you can. And then walk those hands back underneath you. And tuck those toes under once more. Lift those hips, dive that chest forward. Now we're going to take one leg up and you're going to bend that knee and open your hips. Bend that leg, reach to that wall behind you. And then coming back, lift the other leg, bend it, and open those hips. And now the leg that's up, it's going to come all the way through and underneath. And seated we go, just like we have. See those wonderful transitions? Sit on the buns, legs out in front of us. You're going to make your way to your back. So if you'd like to make this into a roll down right now or head that way flat back, go ahead and do so on your own time. Let's get downward all the way onto the mat. Wonderful. I gotta move a little bit here. Okay. Ooh, I am sweaty. All right, so hands coming behind the head here. And we're gonna let the knees bend. And the first thing I want you to do is just shake those thighs. So I'm just going wiggle, 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 wiggle with those thighs, letting my knees come in and out, in and out, in and out. And I want to feel the thigh flesh wiggling. I also want to feel the flesh on the back of my legs wiggling. I'm going to move my angle a little bit so I can see all of you just a little bit better. So keep those legs wiggling. Could you feel your calf muscles shaking? Could you get in that lower leg? Like, you got to be intentional about letting that go. That's release work. And then let those legs just come to rest, nice and quiet. All right, so here we go. We're going to let the chest elevate. And then bring those shoulder blades back down to the mat. Let the chest elevate, bringing shoulder blades off the mat. And then back down. Now take one hand for me and put it on your pelvis. And this should remain flat. Float up and down. Keep going. Float up and down. What I'm trying to eliminate is the idea of my pubic bone curling towards my ribs. I want to keep this long as I come up. I let the chest rise, but my pubic bone is staying down. It's not influenced by this sit-up. One more. Lifting it up and taking it down. Both hands behind the head. Float that chest up, envision that tailbone stays down, pubic bone is long, and just lift the leg up. Now I say that because this doesn't tuck the whole pelvis. You're just moving this thigh bone, but keep your pelvis steady. Now switch. And switch. I mean, it's easier said than done. Imagine how the thigh bones are just taking a little switch, a little positional change, but your pelvis, your tailbone, your pubic bone, your hips are just there. They're staying in the same location. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Both feet find the mat, and so do the shoulder blades. We're going to take the right hand down by the hip. The left hand will stay behind the head. So I'm going to ask you now to look towards your right hand and let that right hand reach towards your right heel. So I can feel my left shoulder blade has come up a bit. My right one is still pretty smashed. And then back down. So I've got to be light enough on the mat to make the rotation. I always envision the upper body like a candy cane here. A little side bend, look towards that heel. And back to center. Little side bend, look towards the heel. Back to center. Last one, little side bend, look towards the heel. Now pick that heel up. Now switch legs. Four, keep looking down there. 3, 2, 1. Feet down and come out. Switch hands. Left hand is down the side of your mat. We're going to float enough that we can look and reach to that left heel and back down. Float and look and back down. Float and look and back down. Float and look and back down. One more. Float and look. Pick up that left foot. Keep reaching with that left hand. Stay in your little curl. And switch. And switch. And switch. And switch. And switch. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Both feet come down and lower. You might find in those, go ahead and reach your arms and legs out. You might find in those that one side connects more easily. So I love doing that, right? I don't want you to always just be like in a straight line when you're working your abs. So you added that little twist and still found how to connect to your lower abs. Arms are going to circle around the hips and then back up overhead and circle around and back up overhead. and circle around. Those palms be open to the ceiling. Thumbs lead the way back. Open the palms to the ceiling. Thumbs lead the way back. And open. One more time. Thumbs lead the way back. And open. Stop when your arms are out to the sides like a T shape. Try to take a couple breaths and see if you can soften your spine into the mat. You may feel some big curvatures happening with your chest stretching. Oftentimes it's the bra line or the ribs are really hyped up off of the mat. Can you breathe to soften your bra line into your mat? One more. Exhale, soften the bra line into the mat. Reach those arms back overhead. Great. So what I would love for you to do is however you need to strategize, you are going to roll and make your way onto your side. Arms and legs are still stretched out. Then I'm going to roll back on my back and roll to the other side. My goal is to not roll over to my tummy. So I want to be able to put the brakes on. And I'm trying to keep my body as straight as possible with my hands and feet together. So again, I have to figure out how to engage, right, in the trunk versus just flailing my limbs for momentum. Of course, we are pushing probably into our heels, right? And that's fine. Give yourself another one, side to side. And then I do want you to make your way all the way onto your stomach. We'll have to get ourselves organized together. So come to lay prone on your mat. Excellent. We're going to start with the forearms on the mat. Palms are down. So first things first, we're going to push the forearms and hands downward. And then I want you to think of activating your lower abs so that your belly button is up or further away from the mat, right? But that active feeling, I'm not letting my gut just rest into the mat. And then I'm going to bend one leg and put it down. And I'm going to switch and put it down. Now again, I'm firmly pushing into my hands and forearms and elbows. So I don't want to be relaxed about that, letting my shoulders be up in my ears. I'm really pushing down, getting all those same muscles activated we'd use in a plank. Little reach. Imagine that heel could touch your bum. Now let's go double legs. Let's see how that changes it. Both in and reach. Both in and reach. Keep that tummy drawn up so that when you bring your legs up, you're not getting there just because you're overarching your back. You're getting there using the muscles in the backs of the legs. Yes. Feeling those thighs stretch, I'm sure. Pull them in. Can you stay there and do a little pulse, 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 pulse. I imagine I'm squeezing a little lemon behind each of my knees. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. 4, 3, 2, 1, and legs reach straight. Push into those hands and lift those arms up. As we lower down, we're going to glide each bone of the spine back down. Totally appropriate if you need to place your hands in a different spot. Go ahead and move. Now on your next exhale, you're going to peel up. And the first thing to lift is the forehead. The forehead will lift, the face rises, and peel each bone of the spine off as you are able. Now, just let go of the idea of your flesh, your outer being, and just picture your spine. And could you now lay your spine down? Picture the bones. And up we come, peeling off, one by one by one. And down we go, one by one. Now on your next time up, I'm going to ask that you do less with your hands. So you're going to immediately feel your butt working, the backs of those legs, your back muscles, and then only use your hands when needed. As you come down, recognize where your hands could be lighter. Mine are still on the ground, they're just touching lighter. And up, I'm gonna, again, barely use them until I need to integrate my arms in. And try to find that a nice and smooth transition. Feel what's working on your backside, not just your arms pumping you up. Now I want you to lift and then stay. So get to a place where, yes, your forearms are on there, but they're so light. You're not really using them. You're going to stay right there. Legs are long. Keep reaching through the toes, reaching through the head. Can the chest come up any higher because your back muscles are bringing it up. And down we go. Woo! Go ahead and let one of your facial cheeks hit the mat. And then pick up that head and turn your head the other way. And pick up that head, turn back. One more time, picking up the head, looking the other way. And back to center. Go ahead and push your back self back into child's pose. This can be with wide or narrow knees, whatever you prefer. And we're going to dive one arm under and through, reaching the other one away. Oh, so both arms are very intently reaching in the direction that they are. I've got a nice little shake going on. Go ahead and take that arm back and reach out in front of you. We'll thread the needle the other way. So take the other arm under and through. And just looking under that armpit, letting the fingers reach. Now from here, we can use that same transition again. So I'm just going to let my weight come up onto one hand and knees, and I just slide this knee underneath, and I can come right back to my back. So make your way onto your backside. We're going to start with that nice little rock. So let yourself find a position where the arms are to the sides, palms are up. Kind of imagine that I'm slapping water with my feet. But I want to try to let everything go where I can feel that my head, my skull just sort of responds to what's happening in my ankles. That it just naturally follows. So I do have to be able to be less in control, right? I need to use the control of my ankles, let the rest of my body rock, rock, rock. Excellent. And then just let those legs pause. Let them feel heavy. Let your head rock side to side. Maybe your chin lowers down and lifts up. You're going to find your happy place here where the back of the head meets the mat, coming to settle in what feels like center and what feels best. I want you to take your right leg and just draw your foot up the inseam of your left leg. So my legs look like the number 4 when I'm laying here. So the right knee is bent. I'm now going to take both of my arms into that cactus-like position. Extending the left one out straight and look at your left fingertips. And we'll take 3 breaths here. So inhaling, exhaling. Take the next breath a little slower. Last one. Bringing both arms back to the same shape. Slide the right leg long. Take the left foot off the inseam. Lengthen your right arm and look at your right fingers. We'll take a few breaths here. Last one. Taking the arms back to the same shape, lengthening the legs out. Go ahead and cross one ankle over the other. Bring your arms up above your chest and crisscross at the wrists. Now I want you to turn so that your palms can come to connect with each other. If you struggle with that, just try it the other way, you'll find it. And then I'm gonna just draw my hands in to lay on my chest. You could interlace your fingers here. And I'm just gonna let those hands cross at the wrists, come to rest into the neck of my chest. Let your eyes come to close. Let your breath get as slow as it can. Let those hands come back, unwinding and lay to your sides. Uncross the ankles. Crisscross the ankles the other way. And we'll take a few breaths here. Uncross the ankles, widening the legs to the edges of your mat. And taking our last few breaths together here as a group, letting the body just surrender into the mat. And you can roll over when you're ready, if you're ever ready, and press yourself up. I hope everybody has a great day.